Hi everyone, and welcome to this brief demonstration on how to perform a segmentation analysis by crunching market data. So here we have our data set from Kenya, and we're going to just insert a pivot table. So you're going to see that you have your fields on the right hand side, and we're going to just show you very briefly how you can get some variable distributions. We're going to choose the PPI segments, and we need to count the respondents on each of them. So we have 1,000 respondents on each of the segments. And then we're going to insert a pie chart. So you can see that we have 33.3% of the cases in each of them, and you can also get this by doing a formula. You do 1,000 divided by the total population, and you get 33%. So now let's change PPI segments, and let's see the distribution of age. So instead of a pie chart, we're going to change it to a bar chart. So you will see the distribution of all the ages and all those values. This is very important so you can understand the distribution of your variables. So let's go back to our PPI segments, and we're going to see again that we have 1,000 in each, over 3,000. So now we're going to choose a few variables that we want to use to understand this particular segment, which is the more likely to live below the 250 line. And for doing that, we're going to choose type. And we're going to see the distribution of rural and urban populations in each of the segments. So if you want to understand the percentage of respondents who live in rural areas in each of the segments, you just need to take this and then divide it by your total population in each of the segments, and you could see that you have 85% of the more likely to live below the 250 line are actually living in rural areas. We can delete this and go back to our variables and just take another one, and we're going to choose education. And we only want to concentrate on the ones who have no formal or primary school education. And again, you will see the total distribution in both cases. So for taking the percentage in each of the segments, we want to do this, because this is the total between no formal and primary school for the ones who are more likely to live below the 250 line, over 1,000, because we know that we have 1,000 cases in each of them. So again, we have 85% of the ones living below the 250 line with no formal or just primary school education. So we can again delete this, and let's take education back, and we're going to check the size of the household, and we're going to do it with this variable, which name is how many members does your household have. And we're going to just concentrate on the ones with larger households. And we're going to just take away the 999 and the 50, because we think that these two are somehow tweaking the total. So again, we're going to do the total divided by 1,000, and you could see that you have 79% with larger households of 5 members or more among the ones who are more likely to live below the 250 line. In comparison, you can also check on the other end, the least likely. So you could also do the same thing, and only 10% of households are in that situation. So let's get back and take that out. Delete this. And now we're going to check the marital status. And we're going to just take the ones who are single. So as you see, you can also take the percentage. You have only 16% of respondents who are single in the category of more likely to live the 250 line, comparing to 28% within the least likely. So we see a difference. The more likely to live below the 250 line tend to be not single when comparing to the least likely to live below the 250 line. So again, we can take this out and play around with other variables. So we're going to check the formal, and if they have a formal bank account. So as you see, we have a majority here who doesn't have a bank account, a formal bank account. And we can also take that percentage over the total population within each segment. So 90%. In comparison, you have 53% of formal bank accounts penetration among the least likely to live below the 250 line. So again, you can delete this. And now we're going to check if they own a mobile phone or not. And again, you could see that the least likely to live at the 250 line, they have more penetration of mobile phone owners than the ones who are more likely to live below 250. But still, you have only 40 people who do not have a mobile phone, which is also encouraging. So now we're going to check if they have access to a mobile phone. You probably don't have a mobile phone, but you can access one. And now we see that most of our respondents at the VOP, 90% at least have access to a mobile phone. So let's take this back. And now finally we're going to check the awareness of a mobile money provider. And also we have a high penetration of awareness among the 3 segments, and also within the more likely to live the 250 line, with 92% of people who are aware of at least one mobile money provider. So again, we can delete this. And taking all this into account, we could describe this target segment, this one, the more likely to live below the 250 line, as a target market for all banks who tend to live in larger households of 5 or more members with low levels of formal education, They are not single, or they tend to be not single, and they live mostly in rural areas. On the one hand, this segment also shows a low penetration of formal bank accounts, which confirms a potential need for formal financial services. And on the other hand, most of them own or have access to a mobile phone, which in rural areas can help lower the delivery cost of financial services. Finally, the majority of the respondents in this segment are already aware of at least one mobile money provider, which also lowers the barrier for introducing mobile financial services to this segment. So again, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the course. Thank you.